Hey Vincent, welcome back to the show, brother. How you doing, man?
Shawn, how's it going, man? I'm doing well.
And for those of you that recognize Vincent on the show, he's been on a few times, and so thanks for being again on the show. It's been 5 years now since our first interview back on my nonprofit podcast.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much for having me again.
I
Happy
love
to be
it.
here.
And you were back in Buffalo then, and so was I, and now I'm out in Tulsa. And where are you?
I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. Yep.
Oh yeah, you're out in Nash Vegas.
Yeah. Yep.
I love it. So I brought you back on the show this year. We're starting off the new year, 2026. So I haven't seen you since last year.
Yeah.
And you have a new release. So the new release, I believe, is
Do.
called Don't Waste Time. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep.
All
Don't
right.
waste time. It's out now on all streaming platforms. You can get it on iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify. Yeah, all the streaming stuff. So
And I love the video too and the live stuff. It's so cool.
thank you. Thanks so much.
All
Yeah.
right, let's get into it about the song. The title seems pretty blunt, but
Yeah.
in a good way. So what were you really thinking about when you wrote this?
Yeah, this song, I approached it kind of like when I was writing the lyrics and stuff, I was writing it from a standpoint of like when you find yourself in a relationship that, like you love the person and you love who they are, but then you can see like long term just things aren't going to work out, right? And it's tough because you're like faced with this conundrum of like, well, do I stay with them because I still love them, or do I leave them because I know it's not going to work? Um, and so it's kind of it kind of takes you through that, and it's like the lyrics I use like to describe like the person and the things about them you love, but also the things about them that it's like that aren't working, or that the both of you don't see yourself together long term. So yeah.
Was this more of a message to yourself or to other people?
This, I wouldn't say it's a message really to anything. I think this is something people find themselves in. And, my goal as a writer is always to just write from an honest place of like, okay, this is what the situation is. And, you can't really like sugarcoat those things because then it just becomes dishonest, right? But like, yeah, I mean, it's not really a message as much as it is like kind of a consolation of like, being there with someone else and like the listener, right, who's listening to it, and like you're just kind of relating to them. So that's the way more so I like to approach music.
Now, how did this
Yeah.
one start, Vincent? Did you have a line, a melody, or just a feeling that you're trying to convey?
Yeah, it's so funny you asked that because this is like very different, the way I wrote this song compared to the way I've written other songs in the past. And the way I typically write music is I'll start with like, guitar, and I'll be playing maybe a chord progression or like a line or something, and kind of start with like the musical aspect of it, like the harmony and the chords, and then I'll go to lyrics. And so I did something similar, but I kind of wanted to challenge myself. And so instead of like just going to an acoustic, which I would usually do, I actually like pulled up a Logic session, and I had this cool like guitar thing, like that do 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 do, like that opening line, right? And I picked up my telly, and I had my recording stuff all set up ready to go. So I just kind of recorded that line twice, did it once through like some weird effects, and then once dry, like panned came up with like a little drum loop or whatever, and I was just kind of jamming on this, and I'm like, wouldn't it be cool to write a song where the chord progression doesn't change? Because most of my songs, like the chord progression, like will always change, like in the chorus or something. And I wanted to challenge myself to see if I could just build something off of like layers and still like keep that emotional lyric construct there, that I didn't want to lose that either. So it was kind of cool. That's how it began. And then like slowly I just produced it, you know, in my room with some friends. Like I brought in my friends for different instruments and stuff, and I had a lot of great players that hopped on the track. So yeah.
Did the meaning of the song change at all while you were working on it?
Um, I don't think it changed. I think it kind of started out with that line, right? Like, don't waste time. Like I had that in my head, right? The melody of the chorus, and then I was like, okay, how do I build something around that that makes sense? And then I pulled from like, okay, this is a story that I can, get with, or that I can like keep throughout, and the chorus will make sense with the story, So,
So you were
yeah,
kind
that's
of
kind of how that.
backfilling then. You started with a certain thing, and then you kind of
Yeah.
back up because you're in the chorus, and you kind of back up to a verse and kind of backfill in order to support the chorus. Is that
Yeah,
kind of what
yeah.
you did?
Yeah,
Okay.
kind of. And again, that's weird for me because I don't typically write music or lyrics that way. I typically will start just like writing a verse, and then like, the chorus will kind of be like, oh, what does that mean? And then and do it that way. But yeah, it was a little bit different, so it was
So
fun.
the chorus is kind of like the answer to the question, the way you've done it before. You kind of write the verse, and then the chorus follows to support the verse.
Yeah.
But yeah, I find this interesting. This feels a little different, this song, than some of the other stuff you've done.
Yeah,
And what were you aiming
definitely.
for sonically in this particular piece?
Yeah, I pull from, I mean, there's so many different influences, and I listen to like a lot of music, just wide range of genres and everything. Um, And it's not necessarily that I like everything I listen to, but I can still appreciate like good musicianship and stuff. Um, and so I would say like there's parts of things that I pull from each of my influences, Um, I would say sonically, like I'd been listening to a lot of like we were talking earlier about some yacht rock and stuff like that. So I'd say some of the guitar tones were kind of inspired from that. Some of the guitar tones were inspired from more of the folk rock stuff I listened to as well. Like like Ryan Adams is an artist I've been listening to a bunch, and Dawes. I love their music. I think we've talked about them before last time I was on the show. And yeah, and then as far as like horn arrangements, like I'm a sucker for Steely Dan. I love Steely Dan. We talked about that before. So, horn arrangements, I try to keep in mind like all these things that like, oh, what builds up a great song or like is going to complement the lyrics, and won't step on everything. So I try to approach things that way sonically. But I really tried to let the vibe of the lyrics determine what I was going to use, to accent that, rather than just being like, oh, this is going to be a folk rock tune. So,
You mentioned
yeah.
something here a minute ago about the sound, the tone, the guitar tones of like the
Mm,
yacht rocks, or what I call light FM.
hmm
And explain for some of the viewers out there, if you were to pick up your guitar and start setting up your equipment to get a tone like that, how would that kind of be? Would it be more reverby drenched, slight delays? Would it be more ambient sound? Would it be like dope stacked overdrives? What are you trying to achieve when you say you're trying to get the tone of that light FM yacht rock?
mm. Yeah, and that's a great question because there's so many different tones that you can go for with that genre. Like, you know, um, you think of like the Larry Carlton sound, and that's like a very like smooth overdrive tone, that he has. Um, and then you have something like Dean Parks, like the way he played, or Lee Ritenour, where it's more like a cleaner sound with some chorus or some sort of time-based effect thing going on. Um, I could tell you for this song specifically, I remember like when I was talking about plugging in my telly, I turned on my deluxe reverb, and I had like a very small amount of delay because I don't like to put too much delay in recordings. It's, way different than like doing it live. You don't want too much of that, or else then it just sounds like mumbo jumbo in the ears. But I had like some delay, and I used like a phase 90, kind of set on a slow setting to give it that time-based effect thing. So I did that, and I recorded the first track that way, and then I had the same thing, same guitar telly. I just flipped it to a different pickup position, and then recorded it clean, but with just a little bit of spring reverb, and then panned those both ways. So that was, creating the chorus effect, but not using chorus for it, kind of thing. And that's what I prefer to do. And then, all the other tones, like I had some 12 string stuff on there, and that was more, that's I guess where that like folk rock thing kind of comes in of like having some weird acoustic instruments going on, drenched in reverb.
Kind of adding the
Yeah,
shaker, as you said before in another video for me. If you're in the sessions
yeah,
work that you do, and they want something a little different, they don't have enough percussion going on. You always suggest just
yeah,
throw a little acoustic on there to give it that feel, that percussive feel, right?
yeah. I mean, acoustic, yeah, and it can have so many, uses, but I love using acoustic as a percussion instrument because it's just that attack of, you hitting the strings that way and it comes through in the recording really nice. So, but
So were you
yeah,
using the telly a
totally
lot
called that.
then? You were mentioning the telly, and is it a two pickup style classic telly, or is it like the three pickup version?
Oh no, it's just the two pickup. And so I think the first track I did, I had bridge pickup with the Phase 90 and all that. Um, and then I think the second one that I did that was more like just clean tone, I think I just had it in the middle position. Because those two tones like just blend really well together. You have one that's a little bit more upfront, mid-rangey, and then you have like something that's a little bit more clean and funky, and so that's kind of what I used for that. But I had a bunch of different guitars that I recorded on this too. I had like a Strat part um, that I was using with like a whammy thing, just playing an A note, wow, that kind of thing with a lot of reverb and stuff. But it's just you're filling in the gaps, right? Just trying to
I
lay
love it.
again. When you have the same chord progression over and over again, your mind can kind of go wild as to how you want to layer it. So,
It's really
yeah,
interesting. Some people don't realize some of their favorite Light FM songs are only a couple chords. You know,
yeah.
we used to call it four chords and seven beers ago. Like we used to, back when, this is back when I got out of the army and first
Yeah,
learned guitar. We'd be
yeah,
sitting around writing songs, acoustic and electric, and we just pick four chords and we'd sit around and
yeah.
drink beers and see what we
Well,
come up with.
after 7 beers, at least you can still remember four chords, right?
But people would be
Yeah,
amazed. Am I not correct? Like people would be amazed at how many
yeah,
songs would go. Like they used the major sevenths back then. Like One of These Nights and all them kind of songs,
yeah.
and all your Americas. You have your E
Yes.
minors, your major sevenths, and you have all these the minor sevenths too. And they give you. But if you stick, like you're saying, if you stick to that little core structure and then play around with it, it's
Hmm.
really cool. So that's interesting. That kind of explains why I was feeling a certain way as I'm listening to the song. You're
Yeah.
kind of messing with my head a little bit, my emotions by tweaking those chords and the sounds around them. So I imagine you were
Yeah.
involved with shaping like the final sound of everything. You're
Yeah,
really
I
involved.
actually mixed the track and produced it and I recorded all the synths on it as well. So a lot of that sound too, like is so based on, synths, right? Like all that Steely Dan stuff from like Guacho, you have these cool funky guitar tones and then like these weird synth sounds. Um and I think, for me, like I always enjoyed the way Steely Dan did that, but because it's from the 80s and 70s that you're hearing those synth tones that are like they're a tiny bit outdated, but they work for that style. So I kind of went with more the like Mac DeMarco route of like synth sounds for this because I still wanted it to sound like relevant. I didn't want to just reproduce an 80s track or a 70s track kind of thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like those, sounds are amazing and sought after. So I think I was just looking for something different to mess around with my music and try some new things.
Did some of these ideas come about because of the sessions work you're in and the bands that you're playing out live in and the church stuff
Oh
you're
yeah.
in and all that? Is it just like you feel it's just like a compilation of all those experiences now kind of coming through you?
Yeah, yeah. I pick up like so much from listening to the other people I play with. It's great. I'm so blessed to like play with amazing, amazing musicians here and a lot of the bands. And so I love kind of like picking up on ideas and things that people go to, like, keyboard players and stuff that I play with. And so that's kind of like why I, played some of the parts I did on there with synth sounds, just because I was thinking of like keyboard players that I play with regularly and musical decisions that they make that work in certain, situations. So
Heck yeah.
yeah,
Some things are better caught than taught. So
Yeah.
when you're sitting there
Yeah.
playing with people and experience it. I just saw an interview with Bill Frisell, one of my favorite jazz guys,
Oh, he's amazing.
Yeah, he was on That Pedal show the other day, and the part to me that was so interesting, it's a really good interview. I recommend everybody goes. It's one of my favorite shows, That Pedal show on YouTube. Shout out to them. But
Yeah.
Bill was they were digging into his past and how he started first getting pedals and why he was using them. And he said he was sitting with all these like different instruments, like these musicians that were playing a keyboard a certain way, and then he kind of was jealous as a guitar player. I can't make my guitar sound like this. You're talking back
Yeah.
in the day, like 50 years
Oh,
ago,
yeah.
yeah. And he was just like, okay. Then he heard the horn player, and he's like, I can't make my notes like get volumetric like they do on the horns. And then he had to get the volume
Oh,
pedals and come up with swells, and and so it's interesting, that you're kind of going through all that too here in the modern time, where you're sitting with other
yeah.
players and hearing where they're going, and you're hearing the sounds they're doing, and so it sounds like you're trying to incorporate what you're picking as the good stuff out of them.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, and it changes too, right? Because it's like that's what worked for this song. But I mean, yeah, you never know. Like the musical decisions have to change with whatever you're playing over, and what tones you want to use have to kind of submit to the song for it to work. So
Good
yeah,
point. I feel
not
like
not
that's your sessions work coming out right there. Like that's your
yeah,
yeah.
that's definitely a lot of that has taught me how to not be too attached to my own ideas or sounds,
So
You
on that
know,
note, if you're producing
yeah.
yourself, then you got to kind of wear two different hats then, right? And you've been in those
Hmm.
scenarios where you've been in sessions and you got to put forward something and then they maybe don't like it. Now you got to drop
Hmm.
that back and put something else out there and drop the ego and play for the song. And so it sounds to me like you're getting wiser. It's one thing to be intelligent, it's another thing to be wise. And it sounds like you're getting those different hats going even in your own arena and being able
Oh,
to do that to
thanks.
yourself. So it's really cool. And that's where when I heard the song the first time, I texted you or messaged you and I want to know about the
Hmm.
chord structure. So let's talk
Yeah.
about that for a second. I'll throw a clip up here of what I'm talking about
Hmm.
and we'll come back in. And then, okay, remember I was texting you about that? Well, we were just mentioning a few minutes ago off camera. So what was that
Hmm.
that I was asking you about?
Yeah. Well, I'll go through the chord progression with you just because I mean it's only a couple chords, right? Like the main structure of it is based around like this A minor 13 kind of sound. So like that natural six, that natural 13, which is kind of weird. It gives it like a Dorian kind of thing kicking it off. It almost sounds like an A7 chord, like an A7 sus chord. So it kind of tricks your ear because then the first thing that happens after that is it goes to a C major to an F major 9 chord, which brings you back to that A minor tonality. Um, so it does kind of trick your ear in a way, and then your ear like gets used to it after hearing it a couple times. You're like, oh wait, that's A minor. But yeah, after that, then it goes to the fours, so it's like a D minor 7 to that C to F major 9 thing. Then that turnaround part that you're talking about that's a little weird is you have an E flat major 9 chord that goes to a D minor 7 chord. Um, and so what we were talking about there was how that E flat major 9 kind of acts as it acts as like a tritone sub of sorts, but it's not quite a tritone sub. Um, and actually, it might just be easier for me to grab my guitar and kind of show you what
Go
I'm
for it.
talking about.
Yeah.
But I have
Hmm.
so where did I put my pick? I don't need a pick for this.
Yeah.
So you have like this E major or E flat major 9 chord, right? And then it goes to
Bring the camera
this
down
D.
just a little bit. Bring the
Yeah,
camera down just a little bit.
absolutely, yeah.
There you go. Yep.
So E flat major 9 to like this D minor 7, like D minor 11 chord because you technically have the 11 right there. But what's going on there is like if I were to play, you know, like technically what would be a tritone sub there is you would have this, right? It would be an E flat dominant chord because that's that tritone, right? But using this note, this D here, it just kind of keeps you a little bit more tonally centered. It's a little bit more diatonic. The only weird note you have is that E flat, and then the rest of these are fine. So I don't know. It just
Yeah.
kind of worked,
Yeah,
and it was
buddy.
like something I just
Love it.
played, and then it was like, oh, that works.
I
I didn't put
love
a
it.
ton of thought into like when I was writing it, like how that was gonna work. I just kind of like noticed after the fact. I'm like, oh, that's kind of a tritone subby thing. So
Yeah, I dig it. That's so
yeah,
cool. Thanks for explaining that because when I was
yeah.
listening to it the first time or two, there's these little feelings I get from the movement.
Mm,
And that's where it was kind of hitting me. And I'm like, huh, there's something. And I love when songs kind of do things like that. They tweak my ear a little bit and,
mm.
kind of manipulating that.
Yeah, and that's what I love about Steely Dan too, is like, they would take you someplace completely different within about like 3 seconds. And you wouldn't even know it because like it tricks your ear because they find some common tone or whatever to build a different chord off of. And I think it's one of those things where, when you're inspired by listening to music like that, like you just want to you want to write something like that. You don't want to write that, but you want to write, you want to push yourself to like be able to see, oh, can I do that? Like if I wanted to.
Heck yeah,
So
man.
it's kind of fun to learn from your own writing and learn from other people's writing like that. So
Let's talk about some of the musicians you brought in for this and other instruments.
yeah,
'Cause I know you did a lot on it, but there are other people. So if you want to
yes,
give a little few shout outs here and where they come from and stuff.
yeah. Yeah, more than happy to. I'm so thankful for everybody that's played on this track is like also just a close friend of mine. Great, great people, let alone like their musical abilities are amazing. So I had a really dear friend of mine, Shawn Orlovich, play drums on it, and he did a great job capturing just the essence of the track and bringing that to life and because again, it's one of those songs where there's a lot of layers, right? And so you know, it can be hard because like sometimes, like most people that would come in would want to like play a lot on it. And what I love about Sashan is he's just so good about laying in that pocket and finding a groove that works and accenting the parts that need to be accented, but not like overdoing it. So yeah, he's from Las Vegas originally, and I met him through Belmont when I went to Belmont. So that's how we became connected. Pretty much everybody I think that was on this track was someone I met through Belmont. So yeah, and then I had my friend Tierney Sage play aux percussion on it. He did a bunch of different shakers, bongos, congas, just the whole thing there. I kind of wanted again that sound of like not snarky puppy, but like I like blending elements of that with like the folk rock thing. I feel like it makes it kind of interesting, and again, it's something that works for the song. I feel like too, so adds a little bit more texture to it. He did great, and then I'm trying to okay, so yeah, so then I had Cam Gallagher, awesome tenor saxophone player. He plays a bunch of different saxophones, but he's great. I actually play for his band, Cam G and the Tasty Soul, and
Good stuff.
so
Good stuff. I love it.
yeah, I play a bunch for him, and that band is so much fun. I learned a ton from those guys, and they're all great musicians. But Cam is amazing, killer saxophone player. And then I had Jacob Boyer on trumpet, another Belmont guy. We played together in Jazz Band One at Belmont. It was a lot of fun. He's just killer, great tone, and um, brought a lot of energy to the track. That was great. And I had my friend Owen Fader too. He's really killer, up and coming guy here, and he's already doing a bunch of awesome work. He just recorded on a Snoop Dogg track. He's killer. I had him do a soprano sax solo at the very end. So that soprano sax solo you hear is Owen playing. And yeah, he's killer. Amazing guy. Great musician. And yeah, and so I'm trying to remember Travis Keys on bass. That's the other guy I had. He's killer. Great tones, awesome feel. He has some really tasty fills in there that like you probably wouldn't notice unless you listen to it a couple times and you're like, oh, what's that little thing there in the background. But he's amazing too. And again, everybody I chose to play on this is just people I know would like really serve the song, and that's exactly what they did. They're amazing. I actually had a Buffalo guy master it, Ethan Wiseman. I don't know if if you remember him. Stu Wiseman is his dad, Avery's brother. Avery's bass player. Stu's awesome guitar player. I took lessons with him for a long time before I went to college, and he definitely really helped expand my mind as far as theory and jazz and all that goes. So um, yeah, but I believe that's everybody that played on
That's
it. So
amazing. Yeah,
it was
you're in
really
some
cool
good
to have all
bands.
those helping hands, come in and work towards bringing a song to life.
Lifting it up, brother, lifting it up. So,
That's right. Yeah.
would you be able to do an acoustic version down the road of it? Do you think you could pull that off, or do you think you'd lose the feeling of it that you're aiming for?
It's funny you say that. I actually have done. I haven't recorded it, but I was playing a writers round here in Nashville a couple months ago, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to like I need to promote this, and writers rounds. I don't know if you're familiar with like a Nashville
I am,
writers
but go
round
ahead and
thing.
say it for a second. Tell people, some listeners might not know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of them around the city, and basically it's just like a line of writers, right? So you got like three or four writers, and you just go down the line. Each person plays a song, goes back to the top. They do another tune, right? And it's usually like, hour long sets, right? And then they'll switch out and have another round of writers. And so that's what I was doing there. It was really cool. So I just kind of, yeah, again, it's one of those things where you can't make that production work in a live setting with just acoustic.
Yeah,
But as far as, just keeping the core of the song, like, what it is from the beginning and doing that, and it was a lot of fun. So yeah, who knows, I might release an acoustic version. That's not a bad idea.
it's kind of
I,
cool, man. Go all acoustic, percussion, drums. Obviously, you could do sax or something, right? Yeah, I mean, I see
yeah.
your head's spinning already. Yeah, I can see you like thinking
Hey,
about it.
I didn't even think of it, but now
Be
that you have me
cool.
thinking of it, I'm like, yeah, that might be really neat.
That'd
So
be sick, man. Maybe you need to bring in. I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe you need to bring in a female singer,
yeah,
kind of work with you on it for an
definitely.
acoustic version to throw a twist in there. Bring in a
Yeah.
female singer maybe to throw in like a part of the verse or something. Definitely help with you in the chorus. I don't know. That would just be something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there.
And it's funny you bring that up because I'm working on some other music right now where I am looking at bringing in some female vocalists just because that brings a whole different vibe to the song as well. Like, we're talking about Dawes and the inspiration I find from them and their instrumentation, and that's something they'll often do like for some of their songs is bring in like some female vocalists, and it really brings the vibe of it in a whole new direction. It's really cool. So
It's
yeah, it's
different. It
not a
has a
bad
different
idea.
timbre to it sometimes and dynamics. And I know Joey Landreth and the brothers Landreth are out touring and they have the lady singing right
Yes.
now. She wears
Oh,
these
really?
like cool, pretty like pink dresses and everything, and she comes up
Oh,
on stage
cool.
with them and vice versa. You know how they're so good live, and
Yeah. I
I'm
still need to
escaping
catch
my
them.
mind her name, but yeah, she. I just caught clips of them singing together. So I'm like, oh, okay, all right, that's cool.
Yeah,
So, um, here's the thing
that's
too: is
awesome.
does this song stand on its own, or is it pointing towards something bigger that you're getting ready to drop on us?
Um, yeah, it's not yeah, it's a single. It's not
Okay,
I don't have right now currently like a larger album in the works. I know.
come on.
I got a couple other singles that I'll be releasing this year as well, and like the other thing too is you talked about the live session we did. There's a bunch of other songs we did on that live session. So eventually that'll be coming out as an EP of like like a live session kind of thing with a couple tracks from my most recent EP as well as having the live version of Don't Waste Time on there. So
Come on.
that will be coming out at some point. But yeah, it's as far as like bigger projects, I don't have an album in the works, but I'm still going to be putting out singles and stuff over the course of the
And then you're
year.
still
So
doing sessions work possibly right now. You're still doing some of
I
that, and then
am.
you're playing in a
Oh
few
yeah,
bands. I know you mentioned one, Cam, right? The Cam band.
Cam G and the Tasty Soul. And we have a bunch of stuff coming up. We're actually playing Jam in the Van in May, which is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm flying out to LA to do that. That's going to be a
Cool.
great time
I
with
look forward
those
to that. That'll
guys.
be cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Get
that'll
you
be out on YouTube at some.
get you
Wait,
shoved in there. right? Hit
Yeah.
it like real tight and stuff.
Yeah, I know. It's like, and we have a big band too, because it's, like three horn players, we
This
got
is
like
gonna be fun.
two vocalists, two or three vocalists.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's gonna be
buddy.
awesome. We're gonna cram ourselves in there.
You got to bring your mini Taylor out or something. Go get a mini Koa Taylor just to fit in there.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I trust bringing that on a plane.
Get one of those, what are the Hello Kitty guitars?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
The smaller
yeah,
scale. I
yeah,
love seeing those. You just YouTube that or just go on TikTok, Hello Kitty guitar, and you'll see a bazillion people playing those things, ripping metal and everything.
yeah.
I love
That's
it. It's
awesome.
hilarious.
That's so
Now,
funny.
here's something a little more esoterical for you. The older you get,
Mhm.
the idea of time hits differently.
Mm.
Has your relationship with time changed as you're getting older now?
Yeah, well, I think this is for anyone. Like the more you live, the more you become aware of time and you become aware of, the fact that it's passing by quickly. So, um, yeah, I would say definitely, especially after graduating, in May of 2025 and now doing music full time and, just kind of doing this thing. I've been immensely blessed and so grateful to God for all the opportunities I have and to be able to do the work I'm doing. Um, but yeah, I think, we do have a relationship with time and we have to make the most of it,
Well,
so
you're a busy bee, man. So I released that clip of 5 years ago. And where were you then? You're in high school, right? And you
yeah,
had a video which you did at the church I grew up in. It was a clips of you playing. Where that
yes.
song blew me away is where I got married, and my grandparents all got married, and it was like the athletic center, I think, where you're filming from a church there, right? Your video, I think, was
Yeah,
there. And now you're out in
yeah.
Nashville, and you've already got degrees, and you've been in bands, and you're in sessions group, and it's just been amazing to see you, as a fellow Western New Yorker out
Thank
there
you.
watching time fly, man. We're proud of you,
Well,
man. Keep it up, buddy. I love it.
thank you. I mean, and I could say the same thing about you too. I've loved watching all these interviews and stuff you've been putting out. You know, you've been putting out some really good content out there with some killer players, and it's awesome to see you going and visiting these pedal companies and flying out to go interview the owners of those, and and
Keeley. Shout out
interviewing
to Robert
people.
Keeley.
Shout out to Robert Keeley. Yep, yep. I love Keeley Electronics. They're awesome.
So,
And
go ahead. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I
No, I was just gonna
appreciate it,
say, yeah,
brother.
and like your stuff you did with Murray Pulver and Cecil, and that's so cool. So yeah, kudos to you for putting out good content out there for people and trying to
Trying to
just
put positive content out there.
yeah,
Like, there's so much, stuff that drags you down on the socials and all that, and it's like
yeah,
there are things out here. Some of us are trying to do some good in the world and trying to
yeah,
dig holes and build things out of it. That's what I like to say.
yeah, yeah. And I
Like,
mean, you're doing exactly that, so it's awesome.
so, what would you say to someone watching this who feels like they're already behind in life?
Don't feel like you're behind in life. You know,
Come
don't
on,
don't
say
feel
it.
like that. You can't feel like that because that feeling itself, if you truly believe that, will put you behind in life. Um, but if yeah, if you feel like that, then you should turn that around and say, well, how do I move forward? That's the key.
I like to
Is
tell people you can't drive forward staring in the rearview mirror. And
yeah,
if you try it, you're gonna crash. So
yeah,
you gotta take where you're at right now. You gotta and be anxious for nothing. You can't change the past. You are where you are now, and look forward to where you're going. So,
that's right.
your song, kind of made me think about all that when I was listening
Yeah,
to it.
yeah.
I was like,
That's
yes,
amazing, and that's so
Vincent.
cool. You pulled that. Yeah, I think that's awesome that you found that connection with it. As a writer, I'm trying to write things that people don't always just read the main line of, and that they can find like a deeper context to it in their own life. So I'm happy to hear that you found that in the song.
Isn't that amazing that it becomes this thing? You create it, you send it out there, and then people experience it, and then
Yeah,
you hear the feedback, and sometimes it's different than what you thought initially, but it's their story.
that's right.
Now
Yeah.
it becomes part of them, and we all have those experiences. And it happens with growing up listening to music where you're like going, "Oh man, this album really hit me," and somebody else like, I didn't really care for it. And you ask why, and they'll
Yeah.
be like, "Well, this guy that I didn't like was playing it all the time, and so now I associate it with it." You
Yeah.
know, it's like what? And then other people can sit around and love a song and hear it from different sides. You know, so
Mm,
it's so fun. I love the creativity that comes
yeah.
out.
Yeah. Being an empathetic listener, right?
Yeah, I mean, how many of us?
Yeah.
How many times does that happen? If you had a nickel for every time you hear a song, you think about somebody or it's a season in your life, or and
Yeah.
it brings back, or it sets you up for the future. You're hearing something for the first time, you're like, hmm,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
Music will do that. Music will take you back to a place, and so it's cool. It really transcends.
All right, well, as we wrap up here, where can people go to support you
Yeah.
and keep up with what you're doing, brother?
Yeah, man. So yeah, if you want to follow me on socials, my Instagram is at Vincent Bonelli, just my name, and you can find me on Facebook, Vincent Bonelli. I've got my YouTube up with that new live video that you were just talking about. We'll be posting some more live videos there. Again, that's just under my name, and I have some shows coming up here in Nashville that I'm doing. I told you about the Jam in the Van. So I'm always kind of around here, and yeah, there's basically just some new music in the works, and I'll be posting more about releases and all that. So best way to find me is just probably follow me on Instagram. That's where I post the most, and I keep it updated. So yeah,
I love it. All right, well, keep it up, Vincent, and
thank
appreciate
you.
all the viewers out there. Go follow Vincent, get on there, click it, and don't just watch it and like it. Actually, click like it and leave a comment for him because it does push it out on the algorithm. And I got so many
Yeah,
people that watch stuff and they won't click the thumbs up, but they'll text me and say they like it. I'm like, just hit it only takes a second to do that, and it helps get Vincent's music out there. It helps to get our show out there. So appreciate all the
yeah.
support, everybody out there.
There's no shame in getting back. Hold on to that card until it's down. Then I get lost. I am lost. Swimming in the ocean of your eyes. Then I return to my old ways, holding on to branches that might break. And then you smile, I forget everything I was gonna say. Don't waste time. There's another day creeping up from behind. She won't stay. I tried everything I can. She always walks
to be able to work. Just like Jason Isbell said, lucky to have the work.
That's too funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. All right, well, I'll let you go, man. Get to work, buddy. I appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time, carving out the time for this.
Thank you for having me, man.